Hi guys, welcome back to the Butterfly Effect podcast. You are joining us for the analysis for episode 3 of Life is Strange Double Exposure called Still, and we are still making content, so like and subscribe. Jack, how's that for a pun? I'll leave now if it was shit, but you know, it's not even a pun, it was just a bit of wordplay.
It's not your best, lad, but
No.
you know, it will do.
Yeah, I tried to shake it up, but yeah, never mind. Regardless, though, we're going to do what we always do. We're going to start with the choices, we're going to talk about them, and then we'll just fill in other areas which are relevant to talk about. Jack, the first choice, mate. Now, we're going to be talking more about this guy in detail, but Alderman, who we met in the last episode, he crops back up, and there's that one point where he's dying, where he, meets his other self from another timeline, then he decides to touch him. Did you try and save him? Did you hang on, or did you let him be, mate?
I actually did try to save him, and I'm in the majority here, 85%. And I guess there was a level of optimism in me here. Maybe come the end of this, we'll explain once we finish this analysis. For the choice design for Life is Strange, because historically it's not as sophisticated as a supermassive as a Quantic Dream. But I was thinking, no, you know what? I'm gonna go against the grain here. I know I've been pretty cold with this guy. Like when he offered his card, and I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna bail Moses out. I'm not gonna screw him over. But I felt like I was like, no, I want to keep this guy in and around because you never know, he might be needed later on. So yeah, I tried to save him, mate. What about yourself?
Yeah, I did as well. I thought they were going to go for the whole angle. Like, okay, this guy's got your number. He's going against you. But, maybe he'll turn a new leaf because we've saved his life. And then he'll actually, calm down a little bit. And then maybe he could be a good ally to have. So, I was thinking about it that way. But dies anyway. Bit of a nothing choice, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we're going to have lots to talk about with Alderman later, how he was handled, mate, because, yeah, we certainly have strong opinions about this one. We'll move on to the second choice, though. Did you call out Yasmin's lie?
I did, and I'm in the minority here, 22%. I've said this in a previous episode. I didn't really have a list of suspects for who killed Safi, but if there was one, for me, I thought it was going to be Yasmin. It was going to be the surprise angle that, oh my god, it was the mum that did it, and we've already established early doors that there is something seedy going on, and obviously she's at the top of Caledon University and she does have some involvement in that seediness. So I was like, you know what, I'm actually just going to talk straight with this woman, and I just called out the lie. So yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah, I did the same, 24% for me, and it said the relationship's now shattered. But I was like, you know what, I really don't care, love. But yeah, it's just obviously we knew that Safi and Maya were really good friends, and when she dropped the whole, oh, Safi didn't even know her, I was like, well, something's up there, I have to call it out, and I might get further evidence from it. And yeah, I'm pretty glad I stuck to my guns on that one. It was always, as always, on the stream, so it was a vote as well. But I'm kind of glad we picked that one because I feel like I would have picked it as well.
Also, as well, is just that the fact that this is the living world Yasmin, and there probably was an element of bias in me that I saw the dead world as the original world, because that's where we come from. So when I'm talking to this living world Yasmin, I'm like, yeah, but you're not the real Yasmin, are you? So there probably is a little bit of that in my decision making as well.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't know if this is kind of just a bit off-piste here, but I swear a lot of the game is set in the living timeline, and I almost feel like the dead timeline is just this gloomy place we occasionally visit. And this might be a discussion for another video, but I do sometimes wonder if the balance of timelines of where we stay was a little kind of mishandled, because I just feel like we're just constantly in the living timeline, and I don't know, I just I think back and I'm like, what do we actually do in the dead timeline apart from occasionally visit? But I might be completely wrong on that one. The next choice we have, lad, is, and I'm going to lump them both together, did you kiss Amanda and did you kiss Vin?
I pulled away from both of them. Yeah. Logic being, and you know what, I'm going to talk about this scene sort of more broadly before I sort of give my reasoning, but they really did try with Max in these particular scenes to spice up. It's not something, and this is, where I give credit where it's due, where they've tried to almost spice up her character in like a romantic and flirty sense. Because, again, it was a little bit misguided in a way. It didn't set the best example. She was in the bar and she was like, oh, I'm feeling really alone and miserable. What can I do? The first thing she does is she goes up to two people and starts flirting. And it's, so, maybe there's some like moral discussion to that. I don't know. But having said that, I feel like while Vin and Amanda are decent enough characters, as a person, I prefer Amanda more. I didn't get that spark. When I played Life is Strange Before the Storm, I saw the spark between Chloe and Rachel. That's going to peeve some people, but hey, it's my opinion, I don't really care. So I do ship them two. But I didn't get that with Max and Amanda, Max and Vin. So therefore, I was like, I'm not going to commit to this, this kiss in this particular moment. So yeah, I guess that's why I ultimately went with it. So I was romantic with no one, mate.
Yeah, I completely understand. I kissed both, not my choice. I was outvoted, alright? I was outvoted. I'm not lonely, I swear. Yeah.
I completely understand that I kissed them both.
Yeah. I don't know, like with Amanda, I was like, yeah, I'm kind of with you. I was always a little peeved off from the start. Your first scene with her is being set up with her being shoved down your throat, and I'm like, well, I don't even know this person. Then don't get me wrong, I think there is a spark a little bit, but I'm still a bit like, Amanda to me, she's someone with potentially cool music taste, quirky fashion, I love her sense of humour. But beyond that, I'm like, I don't really know her as a person. She's just this one character who's constantly stuck behind the bar, and like we're just having these interactions with. And for me, it wasn't enough to want to say yeah. With Vin as well, like honestly, I hate that I got outvoted on this because, like we were saying in the last analysis, how sleazy I think the guy is. I know his heart's in the right place, but the fact that, when you're grieving from someone and a bunch of stuff's going down at Caledon, which he was aware of, he's telling you to like be sexy, and like I just was not a fan of Vin. So yeah, like ended up kissing them both. Like definitely would have said no to him. Amanda is like a maybe. I'm still on the fence with that one because we'll go in more in depth a bit later with like the kind of Revenge Horse concert, but I actually really like that scene, and that did kind of like sway me a little bit. But yeah, like, so yeah, we'll see how that choice goes for me in episode 5 with whatever might happen with those two timelines. I mean, funny enough, mate, those are the major choices. We only get 4 of them. We're kind of onto the minor choices now. So we'll quickly whiz these. Did you get Moses' phrase correct?
I did, and so did a lot of other people.
Yeah, I did as well, and I was quite lucky because I only heard half of it. Luckily, the half I heard was the half that... because I heard Psychic Storm, I think, and that was the right one, and I missed the first half. And I think, yeah, like, I think, I might be wrong in saying this, but I think the first half is like the same for all of them. I'm like, it's a good thing I heard the right half because I would have been fucked. But yeah, okay, so I said the right one, 92% on that one. Did you promise Moses, mate?
Of course, because he's in the loop at this point now, isn't he? He knows, that we weren't, telling shit before, basically. He knows that we can travel between timelines. So when he said, yeah, do you mind doing that for me? I was like, yeah, why not?
Yeah, I said no because I basically was like, I feel like this could be a thing here where I don't want to promise something I can't keep. Because a lot of stuff's going down, and it's like, I already promised someone a date, and then a bunch of stuff went down, and then I'd like, basically stood them up. So I was like, I'm not keeping any more promises. Maybe a bit of a nothing choice though, because, I revealed that to Safi anyway, so I basically didn't promise him but did it anyway, so I think I got off scot-free there, so it's kind of fine. At one point we meet Loretta, mate, and we can like say the wrong thing to mix up our timelines. Did you mix it up at all?
Max did not mix up her Loretta. So I'm guessing, is this basically where we accidentally reveal you, or there's a potential to accidentally reveal a bit of information from the other timeline? Is that what this is about? I'm guessing it is.
and in the trailer as well, because like, you know, for the channel purposes, I studied the trailers heavily, and this was in there. So if you studied them, you kind of knew which option not to pick. But also, I basically recognized that section. So I really had to sit and think, and I was like, right, we're in this timeline. That's happened. That hasn't happened. So I basically kept it very, and I was like walking on eggshells, where I basically didn't pick all the dialogue options deliberately, and I got off like fine there. So like maybe I would have fell for it if I didn't study as hard as I did. But yeah, like I didn't mix it up. 54% though, so I guess a lot of people probably ended up doing that.
It's another thing as well that I feel like, I mean, we certainly will explore this a little bit more in a future video, but a little bit of a missed opportunity here, in terms of like, again, forcing the player to really recognise where they, you know, could mix things up, and like the repercussions that could have in both timelines. Because you see an example of it earlier on in this chapter, don't you? Like when Max approaches Amanda at the bar, and I think, you know, it's like she's being all flirtatious, isn't she? She says, oh, hey, old sport, or something like that. And Amanda's like, huh, what you on about? And then Max goes, oh, but, you know, that's what you said to me first. And then she goes, no, that's not what I said. And of course, that's just a cutscene. And here with Loretta, it's an actual choice. But I do feel like, just to add a little bit of, add some layer to this game, like whether that could have been explored a little bit more, just to get the player thinking.
Yeah, I agree actually, because I almost don't think there's too much repercussion from it. So I almost feel like if you did mix it up, probably nothing too much happens.
Yeah.
Did you change the phone guy this grade?
I did, and I was in the minority here. And one little tidbit I will say for this, because as I said in episode 1, I did try to keep up with the social media and side of things of this game. But I think if you do, and I think I'm remembering right when I say this, is that you then see the guy put it up on social media, like about his grade and whatnot and how happy he is. So you can sort of sit there and be like, oh, like I did a good thing. Obviously, you know, it wasn't his true grade or whatever, but he then pops up and he seems all happy about it. So yeah.
Yeah, same here. Like honestly, I don't really know who Phone Guy is. And I think he pops up in episode 5. I'm like, oh, you're the guy I changed the grade for. But I don't know, I feel because I didn't change Loretta's grade in the other one, I kind of wanted just to see what happens, because even though it isn't something I would do in real life, because it's like she's supposed to be like a faculty member and switching people's grades. But equally though, and this is like kind of a complaint for Life is Strange in general, like, everyone fucking leaves their like laptops and computers lying around, not password protected. Who the fuck is leaving the office door open with the grade stuck out like that? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. But I guess the video game, and this is me nitpicking. But yeah, I changed the grade. We mentioned that phone project thing. I told you that like in the last one, I just thought it was a photo op, so I didn't do this, mate, because I never did the legwork in episode 2. I missed it. Did you get that done?
I spoke to the future, and then I heard from the past. And again, I was going along, because I swear I did this in the previous episode as well. I was going along with the mantra that ultimately I was going to get some sort of achievement or something, because I would have heard what I said in a previous episode, if you catch my drift. But no, you just hear something else completely. So there is actually an achievement, thinking about it, whereby you interact with projects or something like that throughout the game. You've got to interact with everybody's project, and I'm guessing this is one of them. So maybe it's like the tick box exercise in that front, but there was nothing else more to it in terms of, you know, receiving the call, saying something into it, and everything else.
Okay, mate. Vin's secret, which bit of information did you reveal? You could have gone with, you know about the relationship with Safi, Lucas's restraining order, or that Gwen was framed for dealing drugs.
I was with the majority. I just said that, that I knew about him and Safi's relationship.
Yeah, I don't think too much is, you know, key in this, but I went with the minority, actually. I went with the Gwen frame thing. I didn't want to rock the boat with him a little bit, so I didn't want to bring him into it. I thought Lucas restraining order, that's quite lethal, and I know he hates Lucas. I don't want to give him that info. So I just went with the Gwen thing because I was like, yeah, Gwen's innocent. We need to help her. So yeah, I went with that one. But then again, I don't think too much happens with this choice. There's a bit with Diamond info, kind of in a similar bracket. Did you tell her that Yasmin asked Vin to write a statement, or did you say that Maya had mental health problems?
I said that Maya had mental health problems in this particular one, yeah.
Yeah, I went with the opposite one. I was a bit like, oh, does Diamond really need to know about someone's mental health problems? So I just feel like morally I went with the other one, and I was in the minority, but again, I really don't think much happens because Vin steps down from being the Abraxas leader, I believe. So yeah, again, bit of a nothing choice. How did you order your drink as Max, mate?
I ordered a strong drink. And it was really because she set the tone. It's how she set the tone with the flirtiness, and like I was thinking, come on, let's get a little bit playful. So I thought, yeah, why not? Let Max break out of character a little bit, have a strong drink.
Yeah, bit of a weird one as well. And this goes back to the kiss with Vin, but it's just almost like the faculty members are there just drinking shots in front of their students. And the other thing as well, like making out with Vin, this is another reason I hated the fact that I kissed Vin, is because like you learn that there's a potential thing with him and Reggie was sat there and witnessed the whole thing. I was like, why have we agreed to this, guys? But then again, like I'm pretty sure Vin was like romantically involved with Safi, potentially Maya, potentially Max, Reggie, and I'm just like, who is this guy not in a ship with? I'm like, which just puts me off Vin again. So yeah, just another like poke at Vin there. But yeah, so I ordered a strong drink myself, mate. Mate, another moment of reflection. Did you reflect at the snapping turtle?
I did. Not much to say on that.
No, same here, mate. I had a bit of a sit down for my weary knees, getting old. Smash or pass, mate. Did you say how did you handle the smash or pass game?
I passed on all of them again. It comes back to the logic I had with the kiss for Amanda and Vin. All the characters that they were saying, like Lucas come up, Reggie come up. I was like, there's no spark between Max or these characters. The closest one probably was Amanda. So if I passed on her, I'm going to pass on everybody else.
Yeah, for some reason it says 30% and I said yes, but I don't remember saying yes to anyone. And I don't know if because I kissed Vin that means that I automatically get a yes. I'm going to have to look back at my footage. So I'm sure the evidence will be on screen where I did say yes. But I remember saying, I sound so sleazy, like, oh, I didn't mean to do it, but I did. But yeah, like apparently I said yes, mate, but I really don't remember how. We get that really epic revenge horse scene, and I'm going to talk about this independently. We might as well get for it now just to stop us from revisiting it. But you know how in like Casting of Frank Stone I mentioned how they did that really weird scene where like, we're talking about the kind of person Bonnie was, and you get the zoom in on the garage where she's playing guitar. And I pointed that scene out saying, oh, that's like the coolest scene in the game. It's just like so out of the ordinary, but I really liked it. I wouldn't go to say it was my favourite scene, but stylistically they tried something different here. And I really liked it, and I really bought into this whole idea of like Max being upset, Amanda tried to cheer her up. And it's almost like the audio techniques that this whole scene uses, where like you're at the bar, and then there's the music playing, and then it kind of like makes you think that you're at a concert, even though you're not, and the lighting changes around you. So like, my question is to you, did you like the scene, and what happened to Grease Trap?
Oh, enter Misery Guts. Because, I don't know, I'm gonna get shot down here. I thought it was a little bit lame. Not the scene, not the visuals and the attempt, like where you've got more of a blurry background. The focus was more on Max and Amanda. I guess I just had my realistic hat on for this particular moment and thought, God, this is what you're gonna do. Like you're gonna pretend that you're somewhere else. I don't know. Like it's almost comparable, mate. It's like if we met up and you were like, oh, let's play FIFA, and I was like, oh, we can't. Let's pretend we're playing FIFA. Like, oh my God. Like, do you know what I mean? It just feels a little bit on the lame side. And like, I know that Life is Strange does these sorts of things, like, it's sort of more imaginative and stuff like that. And they were clearly trying to like bond the two characters, and I appreciate that. But I didn't. And actually, I think I doubled down on this thinking since replaying it, because I wanted to get, the achievements for kissing only Vin and only Amanda and kissing them both. So I've replayed it a few times and it just gets a little bit more tedious each time. So, yeah, sorry on that front.
Well, I thought it was very romantic. No, I do get your point. And the thing as well, I was laughing the whole way through the stream because I was just imagining the fact that she left her bar post and she was like flirting with Max, and it was a good like 5 to 10 minute scene or something. I just imagine sort of some poor sod at the bar just wanting a beer and just turning around and seeing Amanda and Max just kissing or doing this fake concert in their heads. And I was just like, just some poor guy there, like, I just wanted a Stella Artois, mate. Like, but then he can't get served. Like. But yeah, I felt very well then. But for me, Grease Trap did perish. I was holding the ice pack, completely forgot about it. So yeah, R.I.P. to that imaginary singer.
Oh, in my one, is this the thing where when they say, oh, she jumped into the crowd or something like that, and you get a choice between catching them and don't catching them? I chose not to catch them, and then she just fell and died.
Oh, I chose to catch them, but I had something in my hand. So, yeah, in the comments, please let us know how you save Grease Trap. This is not that I fucking care; they're imaginary, but still.
Yeah.
Last choice, lad. Last minor choice. We have the whole intruder scene at the end. How did you find the intruder, mate?
Well, it says here Max found the intruder using only clues. I was in the majority, but to be honest, I can't remember the context for that. But then I'm looking at this, it says found the intruder only using powers and clues. So I'm a little bit curious in that sense that there's multiple ways to doing it. But yeah, I'm just struggling. It was so long ago that I played this now that I can't quite remember what went down for that.
Yeah, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I was in the minority saying, like in 22%, saying I did find it using both. And I assumed it was because I decided to switch timelines, go down the stairs, see who it was. Then I went back upstairs, switched timelines, then went down and confronted. Because I imagine a lot of people just stay in the same timeline, go downstairs, confront basically the other Max, right? But because I was... Oh, I reckon it's going to be the other Max, right? Because we have the photo evidence in the last one. Someone's broken in. Yeah, it's going to be them. But I was like, yeah, let's switch timelines and then get the sneak on them. And I was pretty happy I did because like Max has dialogue like, oh, it's me. I need to like confront them. So like, I didn't know if it was because of that. I have no idea about this whole clue element. So yeah, like, someone in the comments might have to help me with that. But yeah, so I successfully did that one. Not much happens, you just get a bit of an extra scene and you just get a little pat on the back. Like, oh yeah, you found who it was before confronting them, But it was a bit funny when you do the actual reveal because, like, Max is almost like... she seems surprised and I'm like, we've just seen who the fuck it is, mate. Like, but yeah, otherwise, like, I mean, those are all the choices. Did you just want to kind of go through some of, like, the key scenes?
Yeah, I mean, should we just start with that ending, shall we?
We can do. So, yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. So, like, obviously, yeah, we find out it's Max that's broken into the home. And then there's this massive chase scene. And then, like, we basically learn the big cliffhanger at the end that Max changes into Safi. Now, I remember I went straight to you and I was like, mate, I'm fucking confused. Like,
yeah.
And you eased me and you were like, look, it's just explained at the start of the next episode. Don't worry about it too much. But yeah, just what was your whole thoughts of this whole like scene out in the snow, the chase scene, the big twist reveal?
Yeah, I really liked it. I'm a sucker for a chase scene. And not that I felt that you was against the clock, but it had that sort of vibe to it. He's like, oh, right, okay, I can't get across here, so I'm going to have to change timelines, go over there, and, to try and keep up with other Max. As far as the change with, the thing into Safi, I mean, yeah, I was thinking at the time, has there been some sort of collision of timelines? How is this going down? Probably, I'd actually say a better twist than Max at the end of episode 2 with the gun in the picture, because I was completely lost. I was like, where is this going from here? And like I say, it does get explained, at the start of episode 4, and I do think that was quite a neat thing at the time. So yeah, I really liked it. Probably one of the highlights of the whole game for me.
Yeah, I was just so confused. I was like, I don't know if this other Max is Safi, if Safi's Max, if there is another timeline Max. I was just so baffled. But yeah, like, I'm glad, and we'll speak about it more in the next episode, but I'm glad it kind of doesn't hold your hand to, well, I mean, it kind of does. It just it irons it out straight away, because I just walked away for the 3 days, before I picked up the next episode. Like, I'm lost, guy. I don't know what's going on. I had no idea about what, like the actual twist meant. So yeah, but yeah, pretty good actually. And as for the whole chase scene as well, I found like the whole like secret hideout pretty cool. Seemed pretty out in the open, like quite susceptible to weather damage, and just someone going for a walk and finding like Lucas's sign with the black eye. Like, okay, well, there's that there. Someone could have easily found all that shit. But nonetheless, though, yeah, very enjoyable.
You know what? Another thing, again, not to tread on the toes of another video that we're going to do, but I'm going to make like a call back to Alderman here, because what we established in like earlier on in this episode is that when Alderman touched a previous version of himself, he then vanishes from existence, right? And then throughout the episode, you're having these texts with Moses, and he's telling you, yeah, this guy didn't exist. Which I felt was a real sense of jeopardy that they set up quite nicely, especially by the time you get to the end of this episode. Now, obviously we know that actually there really was no danger for Max, because that wasn't her, that was just Safi set up as like a shapeshifter, right? But it's a concept that I do think could have been carried on and would have actually lended to some pretty interesting choices had there actually been another doppelganger of Max in this universe that she could come across. Because it would be interesting whether like, players would, sacrifice herself, potentially wipe Max out of existence, which would be a bit of a bombshell ending, wouldn't it? Or again, perhaps toe the line and just let time play out, let Safi die or so on. There's just, in my mind, there's lots of ways post chapter 3 that they could have taken this story. And again, not to, well, I am going to spoil it a little bit, but I don't think that episodes 4 and 5 were the strongest, and that they took it in a more interesting way as to how they set it up.
Yeah, I fully agree on that one. And just to kind of like help me with my statement here, so was the kind of Alderman in the other timeline actually Safi then? So Alderman touches Safi rather than Alderman?
No.
Oh, so Alderman does touch himself in the other timeline, and that's what causes like... Yeah, okay. Because like, I don't know, for me, like, I was like, I just felt it was really cheap. And I know, yeah, like you say, they do the whole thing like, oh, if you touch your other self from the other timeline, it can wipe yourself out of existence, which is why I was like, kind of like, okay, let's not touch other Max then, or I kill myself. And there was this whole other plot strand, and it was quite intriguing about how like, oh yeah, this guy never existed, like you wipe it from people's memories or whatever. Like it was certainly an interesting one, but they never really did anything with it, did they? And it just kind of goes to say like, did this game even need Alderman? Because like, if we put it in black and white, mate, what it looks like is that they've put this like FBI figure in to kind of just put you and Moses under a bit of scrutiny, create a bit of jeopardy. And then at the start of this episode, he finds out what's going on because Max stupidly leaves the photo out in the open. And then they're like, oh, now that he's sussed it on this early at the start of episode 3, we better kill him off. And I'm kind of wondering, like, because Alderman is probably my favourite scene in the whole game, spoiler alert, is the whole telescope scene, like the whole puzzle element. I really like that kind of the jeopardy you get. And I just feel like, did they bring him in for that? And then they just axed him off because he found out? And I don't know, it just felt really cheap and lazy to me. And I don't know if like someone in the comments can go against that, but I just did not like the way Alderman was handled.
Also as well, it's like Alderman's there really as a plot device for yours and Moses' relationship. Now, admittedly, I've not gone back to play this game to make the choice yet, but you have that choice in episode 2 whether you accept or reject Alderman's card or his offer or whatever. Apparently, if you do accept, then Moses doesn't trust you. Now, I've got to admit, I'm intrigued in that sense as to what happens between the dynamic of Max and Moses. If the cynical part of me suggests that not a lot is going to happen from it, but I feel like that's potentially something for another video, talking about the choice design of this game. But yeah, it's like you've set this thing up, you've had it with Reggie already. Reggie has seen a previous version of himself. Now you've taken it to the next level. You've got Alderman touching a previous version of himself. That sounded really wrong, but we're going to move on. And then you've now got this setup where Max sees another version of herself. Obviously, we know it's Safi shapeshifted. But could you imagine if that was actually a scenario where there was a potential for Max and the other Max to collide in some way? What would go down there? So I feel like, again, it was a bit of a missed opportunity there for the writers.
Yeah, but I don't know. Deck 9 got a lot of money from the cat content and stuff, so I don't think they really care, mate. But massive missed opportunity. I do agree. So guys, let us know in the comments what you thought of Alderman's inclusion in this game. Otherwise, lad, I mean, this is the section of the game where you're pretty much walking around doing a bit of puzzle solving. You're going around the FAB, the Faculty Arts Building. A few interesting things come out of it. Like, we spoke about the Loretta thing, so we can skirt over that. You interact with Gwen quite a bit, and she explains why she pulled the book deal. Did you kind of agree with her reasoning that she did it to kind of protect the family and Maya a little bit? How did you feel about Gwen's reasoning?
Right, well, I think it might have not been the worst thing to do. I think it's just the method that she employed, being secretive. Maybe if she was a bit more not forward thinking, but if maybe before she agreed to the book deal, maybe she could have thought, this is a bit too close to what happened with Maya, and not lead Safi on a bit. Or if she had led her on and said the book deal, well, yeah, you've got it, then just be transparent with her and say, look, I'm actually going to renege on this idea. I don't think it's a good thing because it's a bit too close to the whole story of Maya. But she didn't. She clearly did it in a secretive way, and I think that's what perhaps gives her some minus marks.
Yeah, it just felt like a bit of a ploy to me, I'm explaining my way out of it, so I've been dragged through the mud pretty much, but I am a good character, so yeah, it just didn't feel like too much for me. We have that weird interaction which we spoke about briefly before with Amanda, who isn't actually Amanda. Did you clock on at any point that okay, that was weird, that wasn't Amanda, or did you just, because I'm not gonna lie, I just thought a bit of a weird scene, but I just kind of put it down to weird writing.
Yeah, that's honestly what I did. I thought that was a little bit weird. That didn't feel like I was talking to Amanda, which obviously, given the context of the episode, how it ends, it makes perfect sense. But I didn't really think any more on it. I just thought that was a bit odd. Why is she a little bit off with me?
Yeah, I also felt as well that I get the impression that this game tries to give you each of the side characters in it. They tried to throw them in the episode at least once, and I just sort of felt, oh, we're not going to go to the Snapping Turtle. They've just chucked Amanda in for this one scene. She'll probably play more of a part in the next one, but I just was like, okay, that's just our dose of Amanda, and I just kind of skirted over it. So another big part of this whole scene, mate, is we break into Lucas's office. We do a bit of puzzle solving, and then we eventually find out that his whole book that he's raving about is being plagiarized from Maya, which eventually leads to her suicide. Tell me, mate, do you hate Lucas's guts for this?
Well, I'm glad that my instincts were served right. I mean, going back to previous choices whereby I intervened with his speech, which was, just talking about himself, really. It was self-promotion, wasn't it? And even when, I think it was in episode 2, when he had basically a little snipe at me and I just stood by my comments. So I did feel justified in that sense. I didn't quite although it's true, the whole thing about him and his son and how Safi manipulated it, I didn't necessarily bow down or sort of give in to what he was saying or feel sorry for him. But yeah, I just thought, well, they're sort of slightly pulling the same trick where you've got a teacher who's, up to various activities that are not very good, and like Jefferson from Life is Strange 1. So yeah, I mean, if anything, it was just more the sense of I feel justified in doing what I did before, mate. But what about yourself?
Yeah, I agree. Well, especially because, it obviously has led to someone's suicide, and he's out there gloating about it quite proudly. I was like, yeah, this guy's scum.
Yeah.
I kind of can separate that from him and his son. So I was like, yeah, okay, maybe Safi's taking it a bit far, separating him from his son. I don't know, but at the end of the day, a student has committed suicide. So yeah, I was like, I hate this guy. So I was quite happy to chastise him in episode 4, which we'll get to. But yeah, if you guys are interested, I have done a character ranking, and yeah, Lucas scores pretty harshly in that one. So yeah, we'll move on. Just something to quickly mention: we have that brief interaction with Safi, don't we? After she comes out of Yasmin's office, and she's a bit salty with us. Did this take you by surprise, mate?
Remind me, why was she being all salty with us?
But I guess because we're investigating, and she's sort of saying something like "stay out of my business" a little bit, and I guess it's probably because it's she has this power and she thinks you're hot on her heels, and she doesn't know you have a power, so she's probably a bit "stay out of my way" kind of thing. But it did feel very left field and a bit random. But I don't know. It sounds really weird. Maybe it's the deadline timeline bias as well. But I was a bit well, you're not the real Safi to me. So I was just a bit
yeah.
I didn't actually take it to heart. I feel like the game wanted me to. I don't know.
No, and it's like I said earlier with the Living World Yasmin. I just sort of I was a little bit more carefree with with how I behaved in that world. But yeah, in terms of how I felt, no, I didn't really care. I guess it's maybe somewhat of a clue, if you could stretch that far, given that how she's been shape-shifting into other people we know, like Amanda, and is getting information from us. So that's probably just a little bit of her revealing her hand slightly in terms of how Max has presumably hurt her by doing all this investigating and stuff. But yeah, no, I really wasn't that arsed, mate.
Neither. We're terrible people, maybe, but yeah, that's how we felt. And you know what? I am intrigued because I feel like not enough breadcrumbs were left out for us to really suss that Safi's a shapeshifter. And it is one of those ones where if anyone in the comments or if anyone out there did suss that, hats up to them, because it really took me by surprise, and I don't get how anyone was finding that out without it basically being revealed to you. So yeah, if you have in the comments, let me know and I'm going to praise you. But otherwise, we've got the snapping turtle. We've pretty much already spoke about the Amanda and Vin interactions and stuff. And then, we've already spoke about, the house intrusion and, the chase and the big twist at the end. So, I mean, I'm at the end of my road for this episode, mate. Is there anything specifically you want to talk to before we just kind of, wrap up our conclusion?
No, I don't think so. I think that's everything that I've got as well.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. Well, we'll wrap it up there. One thing I will say just about the episode in general, yeah, it has its flaws, but I do think this is a top 2 episode. I can't work out if it's my favourite one yet, but just in case you guys are following the analysis series heavily, know that the praise is potentially going to end around this kind of region. The game definitely changes in a weird direction, one that is not bad but debatable, I would say. But episode 3 I quite liked, and I just wish it was more in this manner and tone. So I'm almost sad to sign this episode off, because you're gonna get a very negative Liam from now on probably. But guys, let us know what you thought of this episode. Is it your favourite one? What choices did you do differently? We appreciate all the support, and like I constantly say, there is a lot of Life is Strange videos, there's a lot of Life is Strange double exposure videos, so please check out our playlists on our channel page, and just get stuck in with all of the stuff we have to offer. And stick around as well, because there's going to be many more videos about Life is Strange double exposure.
Thanks for listening, guys. Catch you next time.
Bye guys, we'll see you all in the next one.